Welcome to the Math Record. Today I'll be covering the ICTM Regional 2016 Division AA Algebra 1, which I'll be covering questions 10, 12, and 20. As usual, I'll scroll down all 20. Okay, so now let's begin with number 10. A palindromic number is a positive integer that reads the same forwards and backwards and forwards such as 64,746. Craig is challenged to produce the largest palindromic number possible, subject to the requirements that no digit is zero, at least four different digits are used, and the sum of all the digits in the number is 25. Craig is successful with offering of n. Determine the sum of the first five digits of n. So the key phrase in here is that the sum of all the digits is 25. And the reason that it's important is because let's say we have 1, 2, 2, 1. This side has to equal this side because it's palindromic. So that gives us that the sum multiplied by 2, which basically both sides, that gives us an even number. So when we do that, so then to get an odd number with like 25, we have to have an odd number between. So let's say 5, right? And even plus even plus this odd makes an odd. So basically that gives us, well, 1, 2, 5, 2, 1. This is not even, this is not even. But basically these two numbers added together are even, and add an odd, it makes an odd. So what that basically tells us is that the middle number has to be odd. And what's the smallest middle odd number? Well, it can't be 1 because we want to maximize the amount of digits in there. We want more digits. So basically the next smallest is 3. So what are going to be our four digits? Well, the four smallest is 1, 2, 3, 4. So we minimize the amount of like adding we need to have so then we can have more digits. More digits means a bigger number. So we have 4, 4, and then the next one is 2 because we use a 3, and then we have a bunch of ones in between. So then we have 4 plus 2, which is 6. 6 times 2 is 12, plus a 3 is 15. 25 minus 15 is 10. 10 divided by 2 is 5. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is our biggest number, basically. So what is our first five digits? Well, it's 4 plus 2 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. So that's 6 and then 9. And that's your answer for number 10. Basically, just use logic and it should be that simple. Number 12. Let k be the largest integer which leaves the same remainder when each of the three numbers 163, 305, and 518 are divided by k. Determine the value of k. So basically all you had to do, and the trick to this question is that you subtract each number by the number. So we have 305 minus 163, which is 142. And then we have 518 minus 305, which is 213. And then 518 minus 163, and that should come out as 355. Okay, so you basically just choose one number and subtract it by the other two, basically, and then you should get like three numbers, right? The first and the second, the first and the third, and the second and the third, right? You get three numbers. And then from here, you find the least common, the greatest common factor. So all you have to do is 2 times 71, this is 3 times 71, and this is 5 times 71. So the greatest common factor is 71. So that's your answer for number 12. Okay, now let's do number 20. In the town of Chambana, Illinois, the initial population is 120,840 people. Probably pronounced that name wrong. Exactly one-third of the population has exactly two-letter initials, at least 7/15 of the remainder of the population has exactly three-letter initials, and the rest of the population has exactly four-letter initials. Assuming the normal English alphabet, determine the minimum number of people in Chambana, Illinois that has the same initials. So basically, we know exactly one-third of the population has two letters, and then at least 7/15 of the remainder of the population, so the remainder is two-thirds, and then 7/15 of that. And let's just simplify that out, so that would be 14 over 45. If we get this as the same denominator, this is going to be 15 over 45. And then the rest of the remainder has four letters. So 15 plus 14 is 29. So 45 minus 29 is 16. So the last one is 16 over 45. Okay, so we got our three numbers. So what do these three numbers, actually, let's just keep it. I'm just going to delete this part. Okay, so what does these three numbers tell us? Well, what this number 15 over 45 is one third, which has exactly two letter initials. So how many groups of two letters can there be? So of the 1/3 of the population, how many of those people could be grouped into a two-letter initial? Where there's 26 letters in the first alphabet, in the first letter, and then 26 letter in the next letter. So 26 times 26, that's gonna be the amount of groups that we have. So to find the amount of people that we have that have the same thing, we basically just divide it by the amount of groups. So all we have is 26 to the power of 2. This is 26 times 26. This is two letters. And then we have three letters, which is basically 26 to the power of 3, because 26 letters multiplied 3 times, which give us the amount of groups for 3. And the amount of groups of 4 is just 26 to the power of 4, right? So this first number, when it's multiplied to 12840, will give us the amount of people that have two-letter initials. And then from those two-letter initials, amount of people that have two-letter initials, how many can be placed into a group, right? Basically. And then that will give us three numbers, and then we basically just add them together. So we have 12840 times 15 over 45 times divided by 26, divided by 26. And you should get a number of 59.58, etc. So what it basically tells us is that if we have like 26 squared groups, I'm not going to draw all 26, but basically it's something like this. And the reason there's a decimal is because some groups are not filled. So let's say this is the last one, and only these amount of groups is filled, while these have the last row that's empty. So basically how many people have the same thing? Well, we just add all that. So basically we know this is 59 plus the last one, which gives us to our 60, but some of them are missing, but basically this group has 60, so that's going to be the largest amount. So we could just choose 60. Okay, so this one actually has 60. So that basically just tells us to round up. So we have 12840 times 14 over 45 times, divided by 26, divided by 26, and divided by 26, which give us 2.13, so you round up, which is a 3. So our next number for this is a 3. Now this number, which is 12840 multiplied by 16 over 45 divided by 26 to the power 4 would give us an answer of 0.0109. Well, that basically gives us that it's not even one group. So basically only a few amount of people actually have so let's say this is one group, right? And basically the amount of people that could fill up to 4 digits is basically like something like this. So there isn't even any copies. So basically this amount is lowest possible amount is 0. So you don't technically round up all the time. You gotta think about it logically. So then determine the minimum amount of people that have the same initials. Well, 60 people have the same 2-letter, 3 people have the same 3-letter, and 0 people have the same 4-letter. So add them up, and that is 63. And that's your answer for 20. And here's your answer for all 20 questions. And then as you see for 20, the answer is 63, but also 60 is accepted, which is also an appeal question. And the reason is because of how you're interpreting the question. So as we said for the 60, we round up for 59, but if we don't include the first one, that also makes 58. And that's the same logic with number 3, because 3 was rounded up for 2, but if we don't include the first person, we have 1. And if we do the same thing for 0, we kind of actually have to round up to 1, and that will make us 60. But there's also other combinations which you could also work, which is 60. So that's just one of the ideas. So it's just basically the interpretation of the question because it's not really that clear. So that's basically our answer for 2016 Regional Division AA Algebra 1. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you at the next math record.